Surat Ibrahim, planting the tree of Tawhid, a Maqasidic insight by Dr. Karim Abuzaid. Join us on Saturdays and Sundays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Ustadha Laila Nasheeba, streaming on all major platforms. Channel SunnahFollowers.
Salam Allah wa Rasulullah. I want to welcome everybody to our Maqasidic Tafsir class. And this is the Maqasidic Tafsir of Surat Ibrahim. I got the wrong book up in the background because I forgot to make a background of it. This is the newest edition that Dr. Karim Abuzaid put out. Okay, and this book, we just got a new sister here from Big O who has joined us, and her story, is a great introduction to what we're going to be speaking about today. And I think the reason why Sheikh Karim Abuzaid decided to do a standalone book on the Tafsir, or the explanation of Surat Ibrahim, is because this chapter of the Quran is an inspiration and a lesson for all of us. Why? Because what makes Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam so special is that his faith, his belief in Allah was so strong that Allah chose to honor him by making him a personal friend. He chose Allah over his family, over his mother, over his father. As the sister here was saying, she didn't come from a great, happy background. First of all, we have to remember, guys, we were created to worship Allah. We were put here on this earth to prove to Allah that we believe in him and that we love him and put him above any and everything. And Allah tells us in the Quran that he's going to test us with everything that we love, everything that's dear to us, our mother, our father, our children, our money, our health, our jobs. Well, Prophet Abraham alayhi salam is an example of that. He was tested with everyone and everything dear to him, to the point where he left even his country. He was turned out and turned away by everyone except his wife and his nephew. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. And when you look at his story and ponder his story, there's a lot of lessons to be learned. And that's where the word Maqasid comes from. We all ask the question, what is meant by being Maqasid? What is meant by the Maqasidic Tafsir? Why is it that Sheikh Karim Abuzaid decided to get his PhD in this? Well, when we talk about being Maqasid, this is having the ability to read the Quran, to take the objective of each chapter of the Quran and apply it to what's happening in the world today, what's happening in your personal life, and set goals for yourself. A lot of us are struggling. We're living in bad times today. We're living in times of war. We're living in times of trial. We're living in times of test. Remember, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Islam will become strange Islam will go back to the way it used to be in the beginning. Well, we are in those days, the days where the people of truth are viewed as people of falsehood, and the people of falsehood is viewed as people of truthfulness. The people look at you as being strange because you uphold good values, good morals, because you don't drink, because you don't smoke, because you don't date, because you do cover up, you are modest. They view you as being estranged. And also, people are hurtful nowadays. People don't care. They don't care about other people's feelings. People will say things to cut you down. People will say things to hurt you. We're racist. We're tribal. You know, we're all about ourselves now. We're hurtful and mean. Kindness is something that's hard to come by. Remember, the prophet said, trust will disappear. Trust will go away in one night. You won't be able to trust anyone. You can't leave your children in a daycare center without your kids being harmed. You can't take your kids to a mosque without them being molested. You can't trust your husband. You can't trust your wife. You can't trust anyone. The trust, the amanah is gone. These are the days of fitan. These are the days of trials and tribulations. So a lot of people ask, how do we handle ourselves in these times? Well, when you read this chapter of the Quran, Surat Ibrahim, it teaches us how to handle ourselves during times of hardship, because Prophet Abraham, alayhi salam, he had to endure instances such as these. And I think that's why Dr. Karim Abuzaid chose to make a standalone book just of this one chapter alone. And let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen. And for those of you who are listening to me and watching me live on Bijou, I strongly encourage you to also open up another tab on your computer or on your cell phone or on your tablet. Have your tablet with you or have your computer next to you. Go to YouTube and look for my channel SunnahFollowers, all one word. You can type at the top, SunnahFollowers Online, or you can look for my name, Laila Nasheeba, and click on the live. And you will see me just as I am now, but you will see my beautiful PowerPoint behind me, because I am an Islamic educator. That means I am an Islamic teacher, and I always teach with PowerPoint. I use books and I use PowerPoint, and I want you to see the PowerPoint. If you can, please purchase the book. This book can be purchased on Amazon. It's called the Maqasidic Tafsir of Surat Ibrahim. It's written by Dr. Karim Abuzaid. He's a very well-known Islamic scholar. Okay? And I teach all of his books. A lot of people think that he and I are brother and sister. We are brother and sisters in Islam. We're both Egyptian, and I guess they think we look alike. Okay? Okay. So I teach his books. So order the book from Amazon. And we're going to be covering the introduction today. We're going to be covering pages 1 through 15. And I'm going to put the PowerPoint up on the screen right now. If you got me open on YouTube, and also you can turn me on your big screen TV, because all of my lectures are geared toward the entire family. And I know on Bijou, they don't want any children's, but your children can watch on television. Put me on your 65-inch TV, make the children sit down and watch me, and have the children take notes. And you can use your cell phone to print my PowerPoint out. So at the end of the class, you can staple it together and quiz your kids on everything. Oh yeah, put those kids to work learning their deen. Okay. And this is the book. Y'all see my PowerPoint. This is the book. This is how it looks on Amazon. And that's a picture of Sheikh Karim Abuzaid. So you guys know who he is. That's Dr. Karim Abuzaid. So it's Surat Ibrahim, planting the tree of Tawhid. Tawhid. And we'll be covering the introduction tonight, pages 1 through 15. And that's me, yours truly, Ustadha Laila Nasheeba. For those of you who don't know who I am Ustadha. Ustadha means teacher, Islamic educator. Laila Nasheeba. Okay? Yes, I'm Egyptian too. Yes. She said, I can tell. Yes. Really? Oh, you do? She said, we do look alike. Why do people say that? You guys think me and Kareem look alike for real? All right. Maybe the nose. He has a nose like my brother. Not me. Okay. All right. So you got it? Everybody ready? You following me? Yes, you can put it on your tablet. Okay, you got it on there? Okay, so let's get started. Here we go. So we're going to go over the introduction that Dr. Karim put to this wonderful masterpiece that he has chosen to make as a standalone. And he begins with this. From the moment that Prophet Adam, alayhi salam, was sent down to earth with Shaitan beside him, a big confrontation was decreed. What does that mean? I want everyone listening to me to understand nothing happens unless Allah wills it. And this is important because most Muslims today don't understand that nothing happens, not a war, not even a leaf falls from a tree unless Allah tells it to happen. Allah decreed for everything to happen long before he even created us. So when Allah sent Adam and Shaitan down to earth, he also decreed a great confrontation to occur. This was not just a historical event, but instead it was the inception of a cosmic conflict between two opposing narratives. Number one, a conflict between Allah's revelation, his revelation being his books, because Allah didn't just send Adam down to earth alone. He also sent Adam down to earth with laws, rules, and commands, his words. Allah told Adam what's lawful, what's unlawful, what to do, what not to do, to believe in him and what his purpose was. So Adam knew that he was created to worship Allah alone and to obey him and to submit to Allah alone. So that was the first. The second conflict was that when Allah sent Adam down to earth, remember the soul, it attached to the heart. The fitra, it detached from the soul and attached to the heart. And the soul is criminal by nature. Allah tells us in the Quran, it's the nature of the human being to be attractive to everything that's bad and everything that's dirty. And Shaitan will play upon that. Shaitan will play upon the fact that the human soul is curious about any and everything that's bad and dirty. So Shaitan will play on our defiance. Shaitan will try to deceive the human soul and try to convince it to indulge in associating partners with Allah. Will try to convince the soul to be arrogant and to reject Allah's authority. And this is the physical battle that Adam alayhi salam and all of his offspring will have to endure until the end of time. The battle against Shaitan and his denizens. Okay? Shaitan will attack us with ideologies, with culture, and through moral choices. Shaitan will try to appeal to the human soul because he knows that soul is where he can penetrate. The heart is attracted to what's good and clean. All right? So, Surat Ibrahim, what makes this chapter of the Quran so important is it's a window, a divine window into the conflict between the human soul and Shaitan. This chapter of the Quran does not just recount historical events that occurred, but it also presents a paranormic view of the enduring struggle between the human soul and Shaitan. As Allah tells us in the interpretation of the meaning, has not the news reached you of those who came before you, the people of Noah, the people of the Ad, the people of Thamud, and those after them? No one knows them but Allah. Their messengers came to them with clear signs, but they put their hands in their mouths and said, we disbelieve in what you have been sent with, and we are in deep doubt about what you are inviting us to. So Allah lets us know, even though when Allah sent Adam here, Allah didn't send him here alone. He also, for his descendants, for the children of Adam, Allah continued to send messengers amongst them. From the offspring of Adam, Allah made some of them messengers to remind the people of what our purpose is, to remind the people that Allah is Allah and that we have to be held accountable to him. But people are people. People are stubborn. And most human beings, we end up giving into the desires of the soul. And we deny Allah's message, just like today. A lot of Muslims know what's lawful and what's not lawful, what we should and shouldn't do, but we still do what's wrong. We choose to do what's wrong. A lot of people say, Sister Laila, why is it that there'll be more people in hell? Is it because they didn't receive the message? No. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said there'll be more people in hell, not because they didn't receive the message. It's because they refused to abide by the message. They chose to disobey Allah. Just like a lot of you sisters here, you know you don't have no business messaging these men on social media, but you're doing it anyway. I remind y'all every week that you ain't got no business on these brothers' Facebook pages. They're not teaching you anything about Islam that I'm not teaching you. You're not learning anything from them that you ain't hearing from me. And y'all know it's the truth. In fact, many of these brothers are imitating me. Many of these brothers are mimicking me. They're listening to what I'm saying, and they're trying to teach what I'm teaching. You sisters know it. But you still on their pages, you still messaging them, you're still check marking their boxes, you still loving them, putting hearts and checks and whatever y'all be doing with these men, because you want the attention. You got the hots for these brothers. You want to commit adultery. You choose to fornicate. You choose to adulterate rather than obey Allah and stay away from the opposite sex. So that's why it's going to be more people in hell. We choose to disobey Allah. It's easy to disobey Allah. It's hard to obey Him. That's the reality. So this verse of the Quran portrays the stubborn denial of those who oppose Allah's message. The prophets all came and brought clarity to the people. They taught the laws, just like I'm rehearsing to y'all, Allah's laws and rules. But the people chose to deny them. Just like you sisters choose to deny them today, they chose to deny them back in those days too. In every era of time, the allies of falsehood, they waged campaigns against the message of the prophets, not because of its ambiguity, but because of its undeniable truth and justice. Okay? We're attracted to injustice. We're attracted to dirt. We're attracted to evil. That's just the nature of the human being, guys. But the believers, they are a rare breed of human beings. The believers obey Allah. The believers are instructed to respond to the call of Allah, not with hatred or haste, but with patience, excellence, and reliance. And for the believers, their strength lies in their trust in Allah and their steadfast focus on the hereafter. And that's the difference. That's why I tell you guys, every night before you go to sleep, ask yourself, are you a righteous person? Did you spend your day doing righteous good deeds? Or did you spend your day doing bad deeds? Are you going to bed a believer, or are you going to bed just a Muslim? Remember, the Prophet said in the last years, like we're in, a person will wake up a believer and go to bed an unbeliever. Are you going to bed an unbeliever or a believer? Were you sitting up disobeying Allah with all those text messages, talking to non-mahram women, talking to non-mahram men when you know it was haram? Were you smoking weed? Were you drinking alcohol? Doing all kind of things you know was haram? That ain't no believer. Remember, the Prophet said a person is not a believer when he's committing a sin. He said faith will leave your heart, and it does not come back until after it does not come back until you quit doing the sin. So when you go to sleep at night, ask yourself, am I going to bed as a believer or a non-believer? I want you women to think about that. While y'all sitting up on Facebook, tagging these brothers who y'all got the hots for. Because that's all it is. You just got the hots for some dude. The dude you ain't learning nothing from him. He ain't telling you nothing that you don't already know, that you ain't heard from Laila Nasheeba. And can't nobody break it down like Laila Nasheeba, because I'm breaking it down in English. You don't speak Arabic. Subhanallah. You can't even read in Arabic. You can't even pronounce the Fatiha. And you don't know the Tashahhud. So who you fooling? Subhanallah. All right. So this confrontation between the human soul and Shaitan continues in different forms across cultures and societies. And our interpretation of these events depends on the eye through which we view them. For example, we have a world lens, the worldly lens. The worldly lens focuses on immediate outcomes and popularity and power dynamics. Then we have Allah's lens, the divine lens. This emphasizes sincerity, obedience, and the connection between worldly events and the hereafter. What may appear as a setback could be a preparation for a greater good. For example, the sister that joined us earlier, that started us off. What may seem to be a setback for her. She went through a rough time. She went through a rough time and is still going through a rough time. It may just be a setback that's preparing her for something better. We have to remember that apparent defeats can lead to spiritual elevation. The world may perceive weakness, but from a divine perspective, it could signify the beginning of true strength. Subhanallah, like she said, she ain't got time for negativity. She may be weak physically. But she's probably stronger than most people spiritually. You come around her spiritually weak, she ain't got time for you. She may not have time for some sister who all broke down because she ain't got a man. She'll probably tell you, I don't want to be around that. I ain't got time for you because you moping, because you need a man. Girl, you better learn how to love yourself and pull yourself together. She ain't got time for that. There's more to life than needing a man. You better learn to trust in Allah. She'll probably tell her sister, you better learn how to put your trust in Allah, because man will let you down. You better learn to trust in Allah, sister. Subhanallah. So, that's the lens of Allah, looking at things through a divine lens. Okay? So Surat Ibrahim, it can serve as a map for navigating the storm of life. It serves as a spiritual compass for believers who are facing a world that's filled with injustice, a world that's filled with deception. Because Surat Ibrahim, chapter Ibrahim of the Quran, it encourages us to reconnect with Allah, to take our emphasis off this dunya and instead put it on Allah. We reflect on the historical instances where Allah supported the oppressed and He humbled the tyrants, subhanallah. It'll cause us to hold fast to Allah's plan. It'll teach us to trust that Allah's plan is perfect, even when circumstances seem dire. And also, Surat Ibrahim, it will cause us to anchor ourselves to the hereafter and not to this world, because death can come at any moment. Any moment. The question is, what preparations have we made for the hereafter? Okay? It'll cause us to understand that ultimate justice may not be immediate, but it will come in the hereafter, like the sister shared with us. Her justice has not come in this world. She was hurt on the job. She should have been compensated on the job, by the job. They were unjust to her, but that's okay. Allah has taken care of her. Remember, what those kafirs fail to understand is one thing that we know as Muslims, and that is, as long as we believe in Allah, and as long as we are living, Allah will cause us to survive. And we may not get our justice now, but we will get it in the hereafter. She'll be able to look down as she's sitting on her throne in paradise with her crown on her head, eating from her trees. She'll be able to point out in the hellfire the people from her job and say, see those people there? They were the ones who didn't pay me for the maiming of my body. And she'll be able to call out to them and say, has your promise come true? So her justice may not come now in this world, but it will come in the hereafter, because for every day that she struggled, she's forgiven for her sins, to the point that when Allah does take her soul, inshallah, she'll go out of this world with a smile on her face, forgiven for all her past sins. Subhanallah. So this chapter of the Quran is not just a historical account, but it serves as a guide for determining our stance in the ongoing conflict between truth, falsehood, and justice. Subhanallah. It's also chapter Ibrahim. I can also figure that Dr. Karim Abuzaid chose this chapter of the Quran as a standalone because it's a blueprint from Allah, a blueprint from Him for spiritual revival and how to transform society. Because in its verses, Allah unveils 3 high objectives. Remember, we talked about how each chapter of the Quran has objectives. Well, there are 3 high objectives in this chapter that guide every believer to rise from darkness into light. Number 1, it roots Tawhid into your heart. The Muslims today are struggling. Many of them are having a hard time dealing with the war. They're having a hard time dealing with what's happening in the world. Well, this surah of the Quran will root Tawhid deep into your heart. The journey begins in this chapter with the unseen soil of the heart, where the seeds of faith are planted and anchored in knowledge, sincerity, and certainty. Without those roots, the soul will wither in the storms of doubt or the drought of worldly temptation. And that's the problem today. We're giving in to temptation. You sisters can't keep your fingers from committing adultery. You playing around with other women's husbands. You cannot stay off of some brother's Facebook page. That brother got 3 wives and 50 children. And I ain't lying. Y'all know these brothers got 50 kids and they all stair steps. They are newborn children. They got an infant, and then they got a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, all the way up to 50. And y'all know I ain't lying. What is he going to do with you and 3 wives and 50 babies? You are a home wrecker. You are a desperate home wrecker. Get your adulterating hands off of the Facebook and go find your own man. Leave these women's husband alone. They ain't got time for their 3 wives. They ain't got time for their 50 babies. What makes you think they got time for your desperate self? Go find a man of your own and leave these brothers alone. Stop being a home wrecker. Stop being a desperado, because you know he ain't gonna keep you. Once he have a taste of you, he gonna kick you to the curb, because your taste ain't better than the 3 he got. And you know it ain't, because you can't keep a man. You got a mental problem. Go get you some psychological help. Sisters. All right? So, again, the first thing that this chapter teaches us is Tawhid. Tawhid. The soul. To clear your soul from doubt and temptation. And instead to focus on yourself, sisters. Getting rid of whatever insecurities, whatever mental health issues, whatever is going on with you. Start making your prayers. A lot of you sisters don't pray. You know, learn the Fatiha. Half of you don't know the Fatiha. You know, learn the Tashahhud. You've been Muslim for 40 years and you don't know the Fatiha and the Tashahhud. Okay? Clean up your life. This is the first maqsad, to cultivate unshakable roots of Tawheed. Learn to trust in Allah. Learn that if you trust in Allah, Allah will give you what you need. He may not give you what you want. For some reason, you want all the wrong things. And that's the problem with us. We have to remember the soul is criminal. We're attracted to the bad boy. We like bad boys. Why? We're attracted to the man with 4 wives and 50 kids. Because we know we can't handle a man that ain't got no wife and no children. Because that means you got to give him your time. That means you got to be a woman. Let's talk about it, sisters. Why is it that you sisters are attracted to men who have 3 wives and 50 babies? Because deep down, you know that you are not a woman. You don't cook. Your house is nasty. You work. You can't be a wife to him. So you want the easy way out. You think it's just a hit and miss. Okay? You got to work on you. If a brother came to you who doesn't have a wife, who doesn't have children, you'll turn him down because he's looking for a real woman. And you can't be a real woman because you don't know what a real woman is, because your mother wasn't a real woman. You don't come from that lifestyle. You grew up from a bad background. Let's just get real. Some of you sisters come from bad backgrounds. You didn't have a role model, okay? So it's time to work on you. Find out what your problem is. Clean yourself up and stop home wrecking other women. Stop going after the bad boys and work on making yourself a good woman, a righteous woman who doesn't need a bad boy. but who can be a good wife to a good man. Y'all get that? And only way you can do that is by trusting in Allah and asking Allah to help you to change the condition of yourself. That's what you're going to learn from this chapter of the Quran, because Prophet Abraham did that. He asked Allah to help him to change the condition of himself to that which is needed to fulfill the mission that Allah wanted him to feel. Okay? And also you learn from this chapter of the Quran how to confront the corruption of shirk in society. As a tree of faith grows, it faces opposition, not just from ignorance, but from entrenched systems of falsehood, from cultural idols, from power structures and inherited practices which rise to suffocate it. So in this chapter, you learn to unmask the shirk, which can be an oppressive system that destabilizes the truth and enslaves the soul. You're going to learn that from this chapter, because this is what Prophet Abraham had to do. Also, you learn how to rise with gratitude. And this is something else we need to work on, how to show gratitude towards Allah. How many of us thank Allah for the good things in life? When Allah raises us up in status, how many of us take the time to thank him for that? Most of us don't. So we learn to nurture a grateful a sense of gratitude towards Allah. And then we make sure that everything we do to please him. You're going to learn that from this chapter. And why did Allah name this chapter? Why is this chapter named Surat Ibrahim? Because it's named after the patriarch of monotheism. Again, he was tested with his family. A lot of you knew shahadas. Your families turn against you because you decided to embrace Islam. You have to say no to your family. Well, he shows you how he was tested with his. He had to say no to his whole countrymen. Okay? And this chapter of the Quran was introduced after Surat Yusuf and Arad, okay, which emphasize patience and excellence. This surah advances to a stage where empowerment is imminent. So I can't wait till we really get into this chapter of the Quran. It's one of my favorite surahs, because this surah builds upon the message of Surat Arad, which emphasized how to endure lies and falsehood and how to deal with it with patience. You learn unshakable faith. You learn patience, and you learn supplication. And this is something I spoke about earlier. Whenever we go through hardships, we have to learn to call upon Allah. Call upon Allah for help. You struggling with life? Call upon Allah. Like the sister said earlier, she calls upon Allah for help. She needs food, she calls upon Allah. She needs help with her bills, she calls upon Allah. When she's in pain, she calls upon Allah. She don't sit around crying. She don't call upon man. She calls upon Allah. Dua. This is the most powerful weapon that we have as Muslims. How many of us utilize it? Every prophet of Allah utilize supplication. They utilize the power of dua. Okay? And not just dua. They also acted and strategized and persevered. Their reliance on Allah was never passive. It was an active trust that moved hearts and mobilized efforts. The heartfelt supplication of Prophet Abraham, it resonates beautifully throughout this surah of the Quran. It offers a timeless lesson. It teaches us how to ground our mission in trust and thankfulness and vision, how to build not just for the present, but for the future too. Even in our darkest hour, the believer will remain focused, planting the seeds of Tawhid with sincere reliance not upon a man, but upon Allah, which is something that you women really need to get back to doing.